our seniors yoga class. Go ahead and take a good seat in your chair, making sure that you have a good stable chair to use, something that doesn't roll around or shift around very easily, but feels nice and stable underneath you. Sit your feet up well on the ground. So set them up in a thoughtful way so that they're able to rest flat on the floor. And maybe depending on how high your seat is, you'd prefer to place some blocks or books underneath your feet, but ensure that they have a little bit of support there, that they're not just hovering from the ground. And then as you look at your feet, turn your toes to point straight forward. Rest your hands into your lap. You can have your hands palms down or up, whatever feels most comfortable for you. And then draw up through the spine a little bit. Lift your rib cage higher and away from the hips, creating a bit of space here between the rib cage and the hips. This is going to allow us to actually breathe a bit deeper. Then if it feels right for you today, you can close your eyes. If you'd prefer to keep your eyes open, you're welcome to do that, but try to soften your eyes a little bit. We'll begin our practice today with a moment of silence. Give each of us an opportunity to kind of collect ourselves up and really bring yourself in to the body, into this moment. You might notice now that you've had an opportunity to check in, to turn inwards, that you need to adjust your position a little bit. You might notice that you're leaning forward slightly or leaning back. You might have noticed that one shoulder is riding a little higher than the other, or that you tend to sit heavier into one side of the hips versus the other. Go ahead and make those little adjustments so that you feel balanced in the hips, level in the shoulders, and able to sit tall and straight through the spine. Now bring your awareness to the sensation of air as it comes in and out of your nose. So for our practice today, we're going to work at breathing exclusively in and out through the nose. So you might take a few exaggerated breaths here just to accentuate the sensation of air as it moves through the nose. It's a little easier to notice when we're taking bigger breaths, but then once you actually connect to that sensation of breathing, release the effort of breathing. Come back to more natural breath. And simply feel air traveling in and out of the nose. And as you become more sensitive, more tuned in to your breathing, you might notice how your breath isn't moving to all parts of the body. So that's very normal. You might notice that maybe one part of the body feels a little tight or contained. So the breath doesn't really have a lot of space to move into those parts. So just notice that for yourself, where those tight parts might be today. And they can be anywhere in the body. Sometimes it's our belly that's tight or our hips. Sometimes it's our shoulders, chest, or back. Lots of different places within the body that we hold tension. So the breath is just a very helpful way to notice where those places are. And now let's start to lay in our yogic breath. This is our belly breathing. So as you breathe in through the nose, you're going to deliberately draw more air in and draw it down to the belly. So the belly expands out. Then as you exhale, you're going to draw the belly in, using some belly muscles to hug the belly in and encourage the breath back up and out the nose. Then we soften the belly right away, Inhale through the nose, letting the breath come down and fill the belly. Then exhaling, drawing the belly back in, drawing the breath back up and out. So this is our yogic breath, our belly breath. We're going to work with this breath through practice today. So it's a little bit more of an active breath. It takes a little bit of conscious awareness to maintain this deeper breathing. And see if you can now feel a little bit more of your breath in the back of your body as well. So we often feel the breath in the belly and in the chest. But just as much as the breath is felt in the front of the body, we can actually feel our breath in the back of the body. And that's one great way to just start to soften and create space in the muscles around the spine and around the back. So I find, especially in the mornings, becoming aware of the breath in the back of the body is a great way before I start moving too much to just get a little bit of softness going in the back. So my spine and back are a bit more willing to move. Good. Let's take hands now, bring them down, palms facing onto the thighs, forward towards your knees. So you're cupping the kneecaps with your hands, straightening the arms. Continue those deep yogic breaths. And then as you inhale, slowly guide the belly forward, lift the chest, shoulders back, lift the chin. And then exhale, you're going to round the spine. Even feel a little tuck of the tailbone underneath as you curl in, emptying the breath out. So using the curling action to really squeeze the belly. Then soften that belly, inhale, bring it forward, lift the chest up, lift the chin up, look up. And then exhaling, tucking everything in, curling in, making the front of the body nice and short, condensed as we lengthen the back of the body. Then we're going to reverse it, inhale, really bring length from the belly button right up to the chin. And then exhale, curl it all down and in. Very good. Inhale again. Let's come forward, lift the chest, arcing the spine, pausing here. Taking a few conscious breaths here, keeping that little arc in the spine. Now be mindful of your spine. Your arc might be more reduced, so it's a shallower arcing feeling, especially if there's injury or osteoporosis in the spine. Good. On your next exhale, let's tuck the chin back in. Hug the belly in and bring the tailbone more underneath you. So you're sort of sitting onto the back of the hips, curling in. We're going to pause here. This is why it's so important to breathe into the back of your body, because we're compressing now in the front of the body. But you're going to take a few breaths like this. Really feel the breaths in the back of the body, expanding and softening there. Good. Then inhale. Come forward and up, lifting nice and tall, releasing the arms to your sides. You can give the arms a little shake out. Good. Notice here if you've leaned forward a little bit, make sure your shoulders are staying directly over top of your hips. And then let's start rolling the shoulders. Lifting them up and back, letting them come down and forward. And we're going nice and slow here so that we're really deliberate with our movements or motions. Because sometimes we're so used to tightness, tension in the body, that when we move something, we're not really noticing that we're kind of locked up in places. So if our shoulders are feeling tight, what you might notice is that you're sort of leaning forward and back. So you're moving more through the hips than you are actually the shoulders. So see if you can keep your torso still, just rolling the shoulders. Let's try the other way. Roll the shoulders in the opposite direction. Good. One more big circle like that. Nice. Then take your elbows out to the sides. So the palms are facing kind of behind you. Then so the elbows are bent here about 90 degrees each, and we're simply going to pivot at the shoulders, bringing the hands now above the elbows. And let's do that again. Turn the palms down, keeping that 90-degree bend, and then slowly bring it back up. Good. Let's do that one more time. We're rotating here really deliberately in those shoulder joints. You might feel it a little, so don't go to anywhere that it feels painful. A little bit of ache is not uncommon. Good. As the hands now come to rest over top of the elbows, we're gonna actually, let's pivot them today just for something a little different. Let's pivot them to face the fingertips forward. As you inhale, you're gonna extend both arms straight out in front. As you exhale, curl your fingers over your thumbs and pull those elbows back. Inhale now through the nose, reach out. Exhale out the mouth, let's pull the elbows back. Good, big breath in to reach forward. Big breath out to pull back. Good, inhaling, exhaling. Inhaling, exhaling. Good. We can speed this up a little bit, but make sure the breaths stay full and that you're not going to a place where you feel too much tension here. So we can go a little bit faster, inhaling, exhaling. Good. Those nice strong exhale breaths, pulling those elbows back. Good. 3 more. Last one. Inhale, press the palms forward. Now really breathe in, press those palms forward. Exhale, turn the palms up and pull slowly the elbows back. Nice and slow. Inhale, press the palms forward. Big breath in. Exhale, curl the fingers over the thumbs, pull the elbows back. One more time, long, slow breath in. Curling the fingers over the thumbs, exhale, draw the elbows back. Really nice. Release again the arms to your sides. Give everything a little bit of wiggle there. We can even experience a little bit of motion in the neck. Being slow and gentle there with the neck, just noticing any little crunching that might happen. Again, not going to anywhere that feels like it's causing pain. Good. You can move your jaw around a little bit, move your nose around, trying to get motion in all the parts of the body. Good. Now let's take the right leg up. We're going to interlace the hands behind the right thigh, giving the leg a squeeze up and in. So we're compressing now on the right side of the belly, pressing down into the left foot, sitting nice and tall. So because of the compression here on the right side, we still want to maintain some of that breath in the back of the body. Okay, so some of you might stay here like this, especially if you're taking extra care of the spine or you have osteoporosis. You're going to hold here. We call this Ardha Padangusthasana or half wind relieving, breathing here. If the spine's feeling good and awake today, there's no injury there, you can start to curl in a little bit. See if you can bring your knee up to your nose, curling in. And then we're going to hold there for a couple breaths. You've got it, breathing into the back of the body, curling in as tightly as you can. Very good. Then inhale, lift up nice and tall, and let's release that foot down. Give the fingers a little bit of a wiggle. And then let's go to the other side, taking the hands underneath the left leg. Now, we interlace our fingers there. If that's painful, you can hold one wrist. What I'm going to encourage you today is, if you've interlaced your fingers, try to interlace them the opposite way. So the hard part here is you can't actually see your hands. So you're going to move the interlace all over by one finger. So the opposite thumb is actually going to be on top. Good. And then again, give the leg a squeeze up into the belly. Press down through your right foot, sitting tall to begin. And you're welcome to stay here. There's lots of benefit here, holding the leg into the belly, compressing that digestive tract, breathing deeply. If the spine feels okay, there's no injury or osteoporosis there, you can start to curl in again, trying to bring your knee and your nose together, pressing into that right foot, breathing into the back of the body. Good. Good work. Then on your inhale, come slowly back up, sit tall, gently release the foot down. Good, let's slide hands forward now down the legs into a bit of a forward fold. So be mindful here, if you have any concerns for blood pressure, bring your elbows on your thighs, keep your head above your heart. If there's no concern there for pressure behind the eyes or blood pressure, you can allow your head to hang forward here. So this is going to accentuate that roundedness in the back. Maybe you let your arms dangle, taking in one more breath like this. Good, then bringing your elbows up onto your thighs if they're not there already, and we'll take the legs a little wider apart, coming into a wide-legged forward fold. Good. Pressing down into the feet. Widen the knees so they're right over top of the ankles. Lift the chest, lift the gaze, look forward. Good. Feel that belly breath. Nice. From here, you're welcome to stay seated. So if you do have any concerns for the low back or the knees, or maybe your energy is just feeling a little low today, you can stay just like this for a few breaths. If you're feeling okay in the low back, the knees, you got a little extra energy today, you might take your arms forward and hover the hips away from the chair. So you're just lifting the hips a little bit away from the chair. Now the challenge here, above and lifting the hips from the chair, which is a challenge enough, is to try to engage the muscles of the glutes at the back of the hips there. Try to squeeze those muscles, make them a little tighter. Use the strength of those really good muscles there to support you. You're gonna feel that probably in your inner groin, your lower belly. This is good. This is deep core strength. You're good. And now press into your feet. We're gonna rise up. Press down to reach up. Beautiful. Look up. And then exhale, let your arms go. Good. Inhale, sweep the arms up, reach up. Exhale, let them go. Big exhales. Good. Inhale through the nose, reach up. Exhale, let it go. Good. Turn the toes forward now. Take the hands on the hips, and let's get a little motion going in the hips. So of course, you're welcome to stay seated on the chair. Legs are still wide. And the motion's coming more from the upper body, but you can feel some action in the hips. So if you're standing, you might start to circle your hips. If you're seated, you're keeping a straight spine and circling over top of the hips. Done. If you're circling, let's go the other way. Done. Some of you might move the hips in a bit more of a weaving or figure eight motion just to explore the ways that your thigh bones are moving around in your hip sockets. And then you can reverse that motion as well. Go back in the opposite way. Yeah. And bringing the hips back into center. Bring those feet now directly below the hips, pointing the toes straight forward. Open the palms out in front, shoulders onto the back of the body, and a little bit of containment here in the belly. So very often, especially when we're standing, we kind of press the hips forward and fall into the low back. So I don't know if you can kind of see that there. So we want a little bit of containment in the low belly. That's often going to align our hips right over our heels and give some reprieve to that low back. See here if you can even direct your breath a little bit more to the low back. So even though you know you can feel it here in the belly, can you also feel it there in the low back? Pressing down into both feet. Let's inhale, arms out to the sides and up, lifting them as high as is comfortable. And then turn the palms to face forward. Grab a hold of your right wrist with your left hand. Now, of course, if the shoulders have any injury or pain, your arms might be straight forward or anywhere along that line. Then slowly arc yourself over towards your left, curving this body over towards the left. Again, that little containment there in the lower belly. If you feel that support for the low back, you might even start to slide your hips out a little bit towards the right and really create a curve along the right side of the body. One thing we want to be aware of here is that you're not collapsing on the left side. So breathe a little deeper there on the left side. You've got it. One more breath like this. Then inhale back up into center. Reverse your grip. Take a hold of the left wrist with the right hand. And then go over towards your right. Now some of you might stay here, simply curving a little bit of the upper spine to the right. That's great. Breathe there. Some of you, if the low back feels supported, you can start to slide the hips to the left a little bit. Coming out over towards the right with the arms. Breathing a little deeper on that right side. So try to resist the urge to collapse down. Get longer through the sides of the body. Beautiful. Inhale back up into center, and then exhale, release those arms down and behind you. So we're going to take the arms around behind and plant them onto the back of the hips. So we're looking at the crest of the hips here, and the base of the palms are resting right at the crest of the hips. So one thing we want to be aware of is that you're not resting your hands up at the low back. We want them a little bit lower down. Good. Then from there, we'll lift the shoulders up, draw the elbows a little closer together, and slowly start to curve the upper back just a little bit. Now again, be mindful of the spine. For some of us, it's more appropriate to press into the feet and get as tall as we can, working that space through every vertebrae of your spine. If the spine has no injury, we're no concern for osteoporosis. That curving happens more in the upper back as you might start to lift the chest higher towards the ceiling, gaze upwards. And beware of the back of your body here. Breathe there. Notice if you're just letting your head drop back. It feels like a big back bend, but really it's just compressing the neck. Tuck the chin a little bit and feel that motion coming through from the front of the body, really stretching up through the front of the body. Good work. Let's inhale back up into center and then exhale, release the arms to the sides, Tadasana. Notice if there's some shallow breathing here. If you have to reestablish that yogic breath, go ahead and do that. Soften the parts of your body that can allow some softness in. Very good. Okay, let's take the chair. So for those who are standing, you're going to take the chair out so that the seat is now facing you. Now, if you are using a yoga mat, which I always suggest, but if you don't have one, that's okay. You just want to be a little extra careful of slipping. But make sure if you are using a yoga mat that at least the first 2 feet of your chair is on the mat. And then you can come to face the chair. Now, for those of you in your chair staying seated, make sure your spine is straight, your feet are flat on the floor. Good. From here, we're going to inhale both arms forward again and up. If you're standing, you're going to start to bend your knees and sit your hips back into a kind of lightning bolt shape here. Good. Again, waking up those thighs. See if you can engage those muscles at the back of the hips a little bit more. Beautiful. Take some of the work off of the spine. Really nice. And then release the hands onto the seat of the chair. If you're sitting on the chair, your hands will come to your thighs. Then inhale, lift your gaze forward, look forward. Exhale, if you're standing, bend your elbows and fold a little bit deeper. Good. Inhale, lift the gaze, look forward. Exhale, fold a little bit deeper. Again, inhale, lift the gaze forward. Exhale, fold down. Very nice. So the folding is happening here from the hips, not from a rounding of the back. Keep the spine nice and straight. Okay, we'll do a little adjustment here. Walking your feet back just a little bit. So we create a straight alignment of the shoulders over the wrists and the heels over the toes. If you're sitting in the chair, place your hands on your knees. Good. Then if, for those who are standing, I find it a little bit nicer to bend the knees a little bit. This gives the hips some wiggle room. We want that wiggle room. And then we're going to inhale and start to lift the sit bones up behind us. This is going to accentuate a little arc in the low back. Draw your shoulders back, lift your chin up. So we did this before seated, and those who are seated, we're doing it again, arcing the back, looking up. Pause here, breathe here, press into your feet. Good. Then on your exhale, your next breath out, you're going to tuck the chin in and bring that tailbone down, tucking it between the legs, rounding in. See if you can keep your shoulders over your wrists and really curve that spine. Hug the belly in, breathing in the back of the body. Ease some tension where you can ease it. So we're probably gripping in the hands a little bit more than needed. Soften those hands, soften the jaw. Good. Let's press into the feet. Inhale again, untuck the tailbone, lift the sit bones up, lift the chest up, look up. And then exhale and round in, curling in. Good. Inhaling, lifting the sit bones up, lifting the gaze up, looking up. Exhale and curling in. Really nice. Now see if you can find a place that is more in the center of those two motions. So we have this lifting and arcing, and we have this curling and rounding. See if you can find a place that feels kind of in the middle. So there is a little arc in the low back, but the mid back feels maybe a little straighter. The chest is open. Okay, from here, for those who are standing, you're going to start to walk your feet back, coming into a downward facing dog. If you're seated, your hands will come together. You'll interlace your fingers and press the palms forward and up, leaning up. So again, we're in that sort of lightning bolt shape, really reaching through the palms. Good. Settle the chest between the shoulders. If you're standing, let those hips glide back over the heels. Feel the palms pressing on the chair. If you're seated, feel your palms pressing away from you. Take some deep breaths here. Good. Those who are standing, start to slide your shoulders forward over top of your wrist. You might lift your heels to come over the toes if the toes allow, coming into a plank pose. Find that little tight engagement of the belly, just a little engagement there, breathing into the back of the body. Good. And let's glide back to downward facing dog. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, coming forward into plank. Good. Exhale, gliding back, downward dog. 1 more time. Inhale forward to plank. Good. Exhale back to downward facing dog. Very good. From here, look at your chair. Walk your right foot up towards the chair. If you're seated in the chair, you can release your hands down and walk your body out to the right-hand side of your chair. So now you're actually sitting on the side of your chair. Good. Good. Those who are standing, your right foot stepped forward. We're going to take that back foot and pivot it down so it's parallel towards the back end of a mat if you're using it, or just so that the toes are pointing out towards the left. Your right knee is right on top of the right ankle. The gaze is forward. If you're sitting off to the left of the chair, your right leg can come behind you into a lunge for those seated. Pressing down into both feet. Good, lifting both arms up. Very good. All right, from here we have a couple options. For those who are standing, you can keep a hold of the chair. That's always an option. So especially if the knees are feeling a little unstable today, work strength in the legs, but hold the chair. If you're feeling more stable in the legs today, your hands can come one at a time up onto that front thigh. Press stronger into your back foot. So I'm gonna actually move my chair so you can see a little bit here. You wanna press stronger into that back foot as your hands come up. So the weight is sort of balancing between both feet. You can always hold the chair. Maybe you have your right hand on the chair, then your left arm can extend out behind you. If your right hand is on your right thigh, maybe lift it up level with the shoulders, coming into warrior 2. Good. Breathing there. Good, there we go. So those who are seated, take your arms up, big breath in. As you exhale, let the arms come down. Good. Those who are standing, you're going to inhale, take both arms up. See if you can straighten that front leg just a little bit. Then exhale, bend that front leg, let the arms come down. Good. Inhale, take the arms up. Exhale, bend the front knee. Watch that knee. Keep it tracking straight forward. Good. Breathing and moving here. Of course, you can always hold that chair as you straighten and bend that front leg. Good. One more time, inhaling, reaching up. Exhaling, letting the arms come down, bending into that front knee. Take your back hand, bring it around to hold the chair. Turn your back toes forward, walk the foot in so the heel can be flat on the floor. Step your right foot back and return to your downward facing dog. So if you're in the chair, bring your feet side by side, face forward in your chair, palms together. Interlace the fingers, press the palms forward, even up. Good. Deep, full yogic breaths here. You are welcome, if you have a little bit of added energy today, to glide forward again into a plank pose, but feel the support of the low belly. So you are not letting your hips sag towards the chair. There's a little bit of containment, a little bit of a lift in the hips. Then let's go back to that downward facing dog. Settle the heels, big breath. Gazing towards the chair now, step your left foot up towards the chair. Good. Then your right foot is going to turn out. So it's pointing off towards the right. And bending that left knee to stack right over the left ankle. So if you're sitting in the chair, you're pivoting yourself towards the right hand side of the chair and letting your left leg come back. Good. And make sure that front knee, if it's bent, is right on top of that front ankle. And from there, you might take your hands one at a time up onto the front thigh, maybe extending the arms out over the feet. Then from here, inhale, take both arms up, straighten that front leg just even a little bit. And then exhale, bend into the knees. So we want to make sure we're not locking the joints. Good. Inhale and straighten. Exhale to bend and lower. Good. Inhaling, reaching up. Exhaling, lowering down. Let's do one more. Inhaling, gliding up. Exhaling, bending into that front knee. Guiding that knee straight forward. Releasing the hands onto the chair. Turning the right toes forward. Stepping that right foot up towards the chair. Pedaling the knees, shifting the hips around, lifting the gaze forward. Pausing for a breath or two here. And then bringing the hands up onto the back of the chair, pausing there. So being mindful, we've had our head kind of below our heart a little bit. We've worked up the heart and the blood pressure. So take time to come up. If you notice as you come up, there's any lightheadedness or dizziness, please have a seat in your chair. Whether you're seated or standing, return to your Tadasana. Palms forward, shoulders back. Deep yogic, mindful breaths in the belly. So we're kind of containing or lassoing the mind to the breath. So there's no planning of your grocery list or of what you want to do today. You're staying here in the experience of the body, in the sensation of breathing. Good work. If it's comfortable for you to make your way to the floor, I invite you to do that here. You can use your chair to make your way down. And you'll come down onto the floor and bring your legs up onto the chair. So you're laying on your back with your legs resting up onto the chair. Now, if coming to the floor is not an option for you, that's okay. Have a seat in your chair. Sit all the way to the back of your chair and rest your hands into your lap. Wherever you are here, let your eyes close or soften. Feel the support on your back and start to give into that support. Once again, start to soften the parts of the body that will be softened. Noticing the parts of the body that may, at this moment, not feel ready to soften. Feel pretty committed to that tightness. That's okay. You just notice that. There's no judgment there of right or wrong, or good or bad. Simply being with what is. As we start to shift our energy towards the quieter, slower part of our practice, we'll do so through the use of our Bhramari breath. This is our bumblebee breath. So staying as you are, with your legs on the chair or sitting in your chair. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Let a big sigh out your mouth. Take another inhale through the nose. Place your tongue to the roof of your mouth and then hum like a little buzzing bumblebee as you exhale. Taking a natural inhale through the nose. And again, that humming breath with the tongue at the roof of the mouth as you exhale. Let's continue like that. Do 2 more breaths like that. One more breath. Let your tongue drop away from the roof of the mouth, soften the jaw, the throat. Release the effort and direction of breathing. And just let that natural breath now start to settle back in. We practice different pranayama, breath work, for different reasons. In yoga, for different purposes. One of the key purposes to all of those practices is that capacity to control and shape our breath when needed, but then to also release that control and simply be in a natural breath. Take a moment here and just feel that natural breath. If you're lying on the ground, you can gently bring both knees into your belly, wrap your arms around your legs, and give the legs a squeeze in. If you're sitting in the chair, go ahead and fold forward in your chair, wrapping your arms behind your legs, squeezing the belly down to the thighs. If you're lying on the ground, slowly extend your legs upwards towards the ceiling and then reach your arms up towards the sky. So both arms and legs are extended straight up. If you're sitting in the chair, you can slowly lift back up to seated and extend your arms upwards from there. And then we'll start to shake the arms around. So you're going to flick your hands around. And think about it like you have some water on your hands and you're trying to flick that water off, creating motion and vibration down the limbs of the arms. And then you can start to do the same with the legs, lifting the feet off the floor if you're seated, and flicking the feet about, getting some shaking motion down into the legs as well. So everything is vibrating here, as you can hear in my voice, and we're trying to create that vibration through the body. Really good to do, helpful to get that lymphatic system moving. It's one of those often sluggish systems that doesn't really like to move unless we move. So good shaking here, keep going, keep shaking, you got it. If you're lying on the floor, bring your knees back into your belly, wrap your arms around your legs. If you're seated, fold forward once more. Deep breaths into the back of the body. If you're lying on the ground, gently, slowly roll yourself over onto your side. Press yourself away from your chair so you can lay down onto your back and your legs can be straight out. If you're sitting in the chair, you're going to come forward on your chair. Make sure you have some space behind you. Taking your left hand across to your right thigh, your right hand around behind you, and coming into a seated twist. If you're lying on the ground, bend your knees, place your feet on the floor, take your feet wide apart, and let both knees fall towards your left. Open the arms out and look towards your right. So we'll just take a few breaths here in our simple twist posture. Giving a final little squeeze to the torso and the organs in the belly. If you're seated, gently inhale to unwind, bringing the right hand across to the left thigh, left hand around behind you. If you're lying on the ground, keep your feet wide, let your knees come back up, and let them flop over towards the right. Gazing off towards your left. And inhale back into center, hands on the thighs if you're seated, working yourself into the back of the chair. If you're lying on the floor, you'll extend your legs out from here, letting your arms rest off to the sides. Take this opportunity to make final little shifts and adjustments so that your body feels fully supported and able to settle. One of the key experiences to notice here is some of the imbalances that we hold. So very often if you're lying on the floor or sitting in the chair, you'll notice that one leg wants to do something a little different than the other leg. See if you can balance out the shape and position of the legs so they're doing the same thing. Same with the arms and the shoulders. And positioning the head so it's in line with the neck and the spine. And once you've created that shape for yourself, let the body settle. Release any last little bits of shape or control that you may have been exerting on your breathing. And if it feels all right for you, close your eyes. Just like you did at the very beginning of class. Turn your inward senses deeper, becoming increasingly aware of this place inside of yourself that is very still and very quiet. Come to spend a few moments in that place. I'll bring us out when it's time to close the practice. Keeping eyes closed and soft. Start to notice your body's position again. To feel the easy movement of air coming in and out. To notice the floor below you or the chair behind you. And without actually opening the eyes or looking around at all, start to notice, to sense out into the room around you. To notice the position of your body in the room. To feel the space and the weight that you hold here. This is your space. This is your shape to take up. And beginning to wiggle through fingers and toes. Slowly bringing energy back into the body. You might point and flex your feet a few times, or roll your ankles, or maybe even turn the head from side to side. Making your way very slowly, very consciously towards a seated position if you're not already. If you're lying on the floor, you can bring your knees into your belly and roll over onto one side, pressing yourself up and coming to sit up on the ground or back into your chair. And those who are seated in the chair, you can put your props off to the side, move forward on the chair, once again, freeing up the spine, sitting nice and tall. Take your time to come into your seat. There's no rush. And once you've come into a seat, close the eyes again. Bring the palms together into Anjali Mudra in front of the heart. And see if you can find that same quiet, still place that you were in just a moment ago. To recognize that even through the activities of our day, there is always this place inside ourselves that we can go to that is quiet, that is still, that it gives us space from all the noise and activity of the world around us. And it's often when we go to this quiet and still place that we receive the answers we're seeking, gain the knowledge that we are looking for. So thank you all so much for continuing to come and to practice yoga. Namaste.